What's going on, everyone? Hope you're having a great day, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to tie what was, for me, kind of the gateway for all other dry flies that I tie. So when I first started tying, I wasn't sure if I would ever be able to tie on something as small as a size 12 or a 14. So when I first started, I was strictly on 1 to 2/0. I was tying big flies, saltwater, and I remember seeing this fly and thinking I wanted to try it because it looked neat. So once I got the materials, I sat down and tried to tie it, and once that I seen that I could tie it, then for me that started the journey of tying more dry flies and nymphs and seeing how small I could get them. So this was kind of the first dry fly I did, and it's going to be the Last Chance Purple Haze. So in the bobbin I have uni thread and 136 denier in purple. The hook is a MFC 700 size 12. I have all my material laid out, so it shouldn't take too long, but it's been a while since I've tied one of these, so I'm expecting to make some mistakes. In my area, don't have a whole lot of trout. I'd really have to travel to get trout. So if you're on that journey of seeing what you can tie with no hand function, use it on brim. If that's what you have to fish it, or if you live in an area that have trout, then use it for what you can catch fish on. Doesn't necessarily need to be just for trout or just for brim, just for bass. Use it for whatever that you can use to fish, to catch fish anyway. So lay down a good thread base. The first material that's going to go on is some moose body hair that I've already stacked. Might have 15-20 fibers here. But try to measure that out. And try to keep the tips aligned. Try to measure it out to be the length of the hook of the shank. Can be a bit tricky. Once you get it on though, then it's not that bad. I like to wrap up on it some just to keep it from spinning around. And we can clip all of our butts out. It is a fun fly to tie. For me anyway, there's using materials I haven't used before, and you're kind of jamming the materials into a pretty tight space on top of that size 12. I'm hoping that comes out good. So I'm filming on my phone. Maybe that'll be a little better. We got our tail end. The next material has some, I believe this is golden brown andron. I'm just gonna cut a small piece off here. We're not gonna use the whole piece. I try to split it in half best I can. Sometimes it helps if you use your bodkin to get in there and try to push the fibers away. And all we're going to do with this is we're going to tie it into the back as a trailing shuck, because this represents a cripple. No joke intended, but it represents a mayfly that is stuck in its shell or its shuck, having trouble getting to the fly stage. And once you have that tied in, then let's eyeball it about halfway on your tail, about like that. And all this here is going to get covered up, so you're not going to see it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and try to trim this out a little more. And as I've stated in other videos, there are better tutorials out there. But this is, on my channel, this is just how, if you don't have hand function, or you have limited hand function, this is how I do it with hands that don't work. And what I mean by that is I can't move individual fingers. I have no pinch. That makes it a little tricky doing small flies. Alright, next material, we're going to use some rabbit dubbing. If I can get my dubbing wax open. There we go. Do a light skim. And this is probably one of the trickier parts, is trying not to overdub or use too much dubbing, because it's hard to pull out exact amounts. Just kind of have to pinch and grab, and whatever I get is what I get. I know some people like using dubbing wax, other people don't. I use it because I can do this right here. I can stick the fur to my thread, and I don't have to worry about it falling off while I'm trying to dub it, or trying to make sure I have enough, trying to get it to where I want it. So on this part, you rotate your fly a little bit, use flat parts of your palm, and spin it up. Pull in some thread for however you can. For me, I use my mouth, and just start dubbing up the body. I think right there is going to be my stopping point. Try your best not to crowd the eye on this, because we still got more material to go in, and it's really easy to crowd the eye, but as you can see, it's coming together. I don't know how well you can see that. Hopefully eventually I'll have a spot to where I can set my GoPro up, or get a different kind of camera, maybe a little camcorder or something, to where these videos look a lot better for y'all. Next material can be a little tricky. You're going to use 2 CDC feathers. Try to align them the best you can. It's always a problem for me because they're so small. I have that one that keeps rolling over. So once you get it on, what I do is I try to secure it first with a couple wraps, and then I can manipulate the feather, how long I want it, where I want it to go, and do your best just to keep it on top of the hook. And remember not to crowd the eye. So we'll do a couple more turns here. I think that's going to be good. Try to take it and brush it back and throw some wraps underneath it. And then take your thread back. And what that's going to do is going to prop that CDC up. For the back, you want to come in and trim it to about halfway down the back, just to look like emerging wings. And don't worry too much about the neatness. This is supposed to be a really buggy looking fly. You think about an injured bug on the water surface, he's probably not going to look the best. Take our thread and come back. And now it's time for the hackle. And the hackle I've already pre-measured at the best of my ability, but we're going to be using 2 of them. So here I have a grizzly brown. Get that tied on. And then we're going to use a natural grizzly. Same thing, get this tied on. Try to get the stems out if you can. I don't know if I'm gonna. Got them a little bit. But make sure it's tied down really well. You don't want to start palmering these forward and they come undone. It's kind of annoying. Take your thread right up to behind that CDC and try to leave. I know you can't see it on camera, but try to leave a bit of a gap from the CDC to the eye of the hook to where you have somewhere to tie off. And I will show you how I tie off these smaller hooks like this. So now, hackle pliers, grab our grizzly feather. And I don't think it matters which one you start with first, but not necessarily touching turns, but try to leave a little bit of a gap in between. What I'm going to do is unwrap that some. And grab that feather. And I'm going to go ahead and trim out the stem just so that it doesn't get tangled up in my thread. If you can use the material and wrap it with just your hand and not have to use the rotary function, then this part is not as tricky, being I have to use the rotary function of my vise. I could try to do a half hitch over the feather, but just try to get it to where it's not gonna mess up my feather. And just go in between your grizzly wraps. Once again, I'm gonna unwrap this some just to where it's pushing down on the eye. And we'll trap that feather. And that's something I do quite a bit when I'm working on these smaller flies. Instead of leaving my bobbin hanging to where it's in my way, I just hook it on the tensioning knob of my vise. And that gets it out of my way. So I might have crowded the eye a little bit. That's always a problem on these, for me anyway, trying to get that material in there. Try to pull everything back best you can. I think normally I would, instead of doing a whip finish, I would use my half hitch tool to get it right up on the eye. But being my thread, when I was tying off those hackles, it pushed my thread forward to where I no longer really have a gap behind the eye of the hook. So I think for this one, it's just going to be easier just to whip finish. And then you can use some head cement or a little bit of UV. I usually use Sally Hansen Hard as Nails. Just put a little drop in there. And then if you see anything really funky, then you can go and trim it out and try to... I got enough room there that I could get tippet through it. So it doesn't look too bad. I crowded the eye a little bit, but nothing that's too crazy. And like I said, I haven't tied these, and it's probably been close to a year. Because in my area, I have no need for dry flies, unless I'm just gonna go out and use them on brim. That'd be the only way I really have dry flies in my arsenal. But there you go. This was the first dry fly that I really started learning how to tie. And this was my gateway to many other dry flies. I have a pattern. I'm going to do a post about it on my channel. See if y'all would like to see how I tie it. So look out for that. I gotta buy some materials. But if you like this, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. I try to do these every Monday, and then along with fishing videos. So if you like this kind of stuff, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment of what fly you would like me to tie next, or leave a comment of what your first dry fly was. But until next time, I hope y'all have a good one.